All praises to the Most High. This is for a friend of mine. It's for everybody, but specifically a person that asked me this question a while back. This is page 129 at the bottom of session 7. Finding the Truth About Moses and the Law, Part 2, February 1st, 2015. I'm going to start at the bottom section of the paragraph, but before I do that, I'm going to put the cart before the horse. Who is Hammurabi? Hammurabi. And was Hammurabi before Moses and Aaron or after Moses and Aaron? He that had an eye gonna see. She that had an eye gonna see. He or she that had an ear gonna hear. Okay. Page 129. The Messiah's view of his father. A perspective for those seeking truth. Is an excellent introduction to the volumes of the Book of Remembrance prophesied in Malachi 3:16, the Book of Remembrance of Moses, the Book of Remembrance of Melchizedek, the Book of Remembrance of our ancient grandmothers, the Book of Remembrance of Enoch, the Book of Remembrance of 1st and 2nd Achi, the Handbook of Established Righteous, a companion book to the Book of Remembrance Library. First of all, in the court of Josiah, our mighty king of Judah, one who his principal interest is Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 39:14, Jeremiah 40:11 and 12. Lehi nephew, Shaphan grandson, hooking up the Jews in Judah. Listen, Jeremiah. The book of the law, chapter 14, Jeremiah. We don't know who the other ones were. However, I'm going to read something to you here from one of my several Bible dictionaries. And I want to read something about Deuteronomy from the International Dictionary of the Bible. Deuteronomy. Students of the Bible are especially interested in the comparison of Hammurabi's code. Hammurabi's code with the Mosaic legislation of the Bible. Hammurabi's code with the Mosaic legislation of the Bible. Hammurabi was a king in Babylon. Hammurabi was a king in Babylon. About 1800 BC, or about 300 years before Moses and Aaron. 300 years. Who was your pawpaw back then and your mama, and what tribe were they from? There are many similarities. There are many similarities. There are many similarities. To what? Hammurabi's code with the Mosaic legislation of the Bible. Hammurabi was a king in Babylon about 1800 BC, or about 300 years before Moses and Aaron. There are many similarities. Both codes agree. Both codes agree in prescribing the unaliving penalty for adultery and other things. How are the similarities to be explained? How are the similarities to be explained? It is obvious that Hammurabi could not have borrowed from Moses, for Moses lived several centuries after Hammurabi. Moses lived several centuries after Hammurabi. Most scholars today agree that the similarities are to be explained by a common background of the Hebrews and the Babylonians. A common background of the Hebrews and the Babylonians. A common background. At first, this explanation seems to run counter to the physical claim that Moses' law was given by divine revelation. If I could, I would show you a picture of the obelisk that is written with the law of Hammurabi, but I forgot to bring it. It shows the sun god, claiming Melchizedek, but under temple religion, blood sacrifice, sun god, Moloch, giving the law to him. So scholars are very aware of that which I am about to read to you. All the Bible dictionaries have something to say about it. All the Bible dictionaries have something to say about it. But some of them do not go as far as mentioning that these similarities could call the divine revelation process of Moses into question. Actually, the Jehovah's Witnesses are the most forthright. Some scholars, when you look up Deuteronomy, believe that Deuteronomy was written at the time of Josiah, because it is in so much contrast with the other four books. The book of the law of the children's court of Josiah, chapter 14, chapter 15, chapter 16, 17. Some scholars, when you look up Deuteronomy, believe that Deuteronomy was written at the time of Josiah because it was in so much contrast with the other four books of the Torah. That was the original Torah. The original brass plates, the original seal portion. We don't know who wrote Deuteronomy. It wasn't Moses, because it was written long after Moses. It most likely came from oral tradition that was cited in a public reading of the books of the law by Josiah. The word Deuteronomy means to restate the law. Deuteronomy means to restate the law. But we do have Jeremiah. He is one of our heroes. I want to read something about Jeremiah. This might be a surprise to you. Jeremiah was an eyewitness to the reading of the book of the law. Jeremiah, 2 Chronicles 34:14. Jeremiah was an eyewitness to the reading of the book of the law. This might be a surprise to you. Jeremiah was an eyewitness to the reading of the book of the law by Josiah. They were both in their early 20s. The first two verses by Josiah. The first two verses by Jeremiah I read as follows. The words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, the priest, that were in Anathoth, in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of the Lord came in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon. Was it the same Hilkiah that found the book of the